or even the subtle elements like the mind, the intelligence, the ahankara, or the false ego. Not only do they come from Krishna, but also the abstracts, which become real in relation to Krishna, like affection. Affection has no meaning unless there are people. You can't have you don't seize a cubic meter of affection or 3 kilos of affection. Affection is an abstract, but it becomes real when it's in relation to 2 people or more people. So these abstracts, or these feelings, these sentiments, and therefore, Srila Prabhupada is basically saying if someone wants to be a mother in the spiritual world, then you have to follow Mother Yashoda. Just like previous to this chapter, the previous chapter, is speaking about when Krishna and Balaram, when they were very young in Vrindavan, they were crawling. And when they just learned to get up and be able to walk around, then all the gopis would come to Mother Yashoda's house. And all the gopis, they were also mothers of Krishna. Every one of them, not just Mother Yashoda. Just like later on in the 13th chapter of the 10th canto, we see that Krishna, Lord Brahma, he was doubting, how could this Krishna be the same person to whom I prayed, from whose flute Saraswati emanated and gave me the Gayatri mantra, upon which I meditated and had the power of creation to create the whole universe. How can that be the same who was jumping, playing leapfrog with his friends? This person who explained the perfection of all knowledge, how can he be jumping around and playing with a ball, with a bunch of boys? So Brahma expanded himself, and Brahma stole away. He thought he stole away Krishna's friends and calves, but actually, what really happened was Krishna expanded all his friends and hid them away, and Brahma thought that he was hiding them away. But in any case, Krishna expanded himself to take the place of all these young cowherd boys, and then just before that, all of these elderly gopis of Vrindavan, they were thinking, I wish I had Krishna. I wish my son were more like Krishna. My son is wonderful, but Krishna is extraordinary. They were thinking like that. And then all of a sudden their son came home, and they said, they were all feeling that I've never had so much affection for my son, because it was actually Krishna expanding himself as the cowherd boy. And they were thinking, because they had that desire. And they were pure devotees of Krishna. Therefore Krishna satisfied their desire and became their son for a whole year. And then when Krishna withdrew himself and the cowherd boys, again the mothers felt a change. All these mothers. But then Krishna empowered his friends so that they could give that same sentiment. Because a devotee of Krishna, in one sense, when they're in the spiritual world, they're just as powerful as Krishna. In the sense that Krishna empowers them to compete with him, and like Sridham, and when they're wrestling, Sridham wins. And Mother Yashoda, then she is in charge of Krishna. She tells Krishna, come here. Now we also sometimes, we approach God with that attitude. Can you give me this? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And that's not, we think that maybe Krishna is doing this. Sometimes people ask for wealth. And then they get some wealth and they think that came from Krishna. But then when they lose their wealth, they don't think that that happened by Krishna. No. Only when they get it. So, but it's actually their karma, their destiny. Because there's many people that pray all their lifetime and they don't get any money. And some people never pray and they get more money than anybody else. No. And so, it really doesn't depend on that. So the point is that when one gives everything to Krishna, then one, meaning not that you go and bring everything here to the temple and leave it here, your bank account. Of course, if you do that, we won't complain, but but not the garbage. But you bring everything, you give everything to Krishna in the sense, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvaloka Maheshwara. I am the owner of everything, I'm proprietor of everything anyway. So we acknowledge that. Krishna is the proprietor, and he also, if he's just like if I work in someone's store or factory or business, then I have access, or Prabhupada used to use the example of a teller in the bank. I have $10,000 or $100,000 right here in my drawer, but it's not mine. But I have the authority to use it, and I get some portion for myself. So, in the same way, if we are understand that this is all Krishna's property, then we consult with Krishna through this Bhagavatam, through the Bhagavad Gita, through his devotees. What's the best way to use these things for Krishna? So in the same way, our sentiments, especially as we're talking about motherly sentiments, which of course Srila Prabhupada said that the sentiment of a mother towards her child is the closest thing in this world, or the child's dependence on the mother. And the mother's love for the child is the closest thing that we can find to spiritual love, because it's unconditional. The mother has her child, and especially a young child, very unconditional. The child may start crying at 2 a.m, and it's not that the mother, hangs a sign on the child's crib and says, "My hours are 9 to 5." So we'll have to wait. He has to get up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever time, and feed the child or take care of the child, whatever. So, in other words, these relationships we have now are just a slight representation of the relationship we eternally have with the Supreme Person. That's the point. So when we study Mother Yashoda's sentiments toward Krishna, then we can understand what is the best way. How can we understand the greatest motherly, the greatest maternal love? We look to Mother Yashoda. Everyone would come and complain when Krishna and Balaram began to walk. Your son comes, and he, just when the time for milking the cows, he opens the gates and all the calves go out. And of course the cows, when the calves go away, they don't give as much milk. And if he gets caught, and then sometimes he lets the cows out. He gets angry. Or sometimes, if we don't cooperate with him, he pinches the small children until they cry, and then he goes away. So every mother, of course, we have one full-fledged mother here at least. And so every mother knows that children are naturally naughty. It's just like it's built in, it's wired into them, because that's the way it's coming from Krishna. And mothers tolerate. The mothers actually get some pleasure, although they have to correct their child. But it's actually quite pleasurable. Of course, some children get a little carried away, but it's actually very, very pleasurable for the mother to see their child a little naughty, does this or that. It brings out more their motherly affection, and it actually makes them more concerned for their children. So after all these complaints and everything, they would come and Krishna would be sitting there with kind of a fearful look in his eyes. And then they would just look at his beautiful face and they would just smile and forget it, just feel transcendental happiness. That may not happen in our case. No. We may actually have to chastise them a little bit. But, you know, we see children, when they get caught or something, you know, their eyes get a little big and, you know, they try to make you forget about what's happened. So, then after that, Mother Yashoda would always, she would never chastise Krishna. Never. Even because he would just smile and she would forget about it. But then one time, all of the boys came and complained along with Balaram, Krishna's eating dirt. And Mother Yashoda immediately, she wasn't so concerned that Krishna was eating dirt as, you know, he shouldn't eat dirt, but she was concerned that he'll get sick. No. And so she called Krishna and she said, Krishna, I want to see in your mouth. They say you're eating dirt. Even your brother says that. Generally he's in favor of you, he's your ally, but now he's saying that. And Krishna said, no, they're liars. No, it's just because today I won the game, so they're lying. No. And so she said, well, then let me see in your mouth. And so Krishna thought, my mother wants to see dirt. No. So I'll show her all the dirt that exists. No. So he opened his mouth because Krishna opened his mouth out of affection for his mother. But because he's the Supreme Person, he never loses his potency. No. He never loses his supremacy. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ajopi sam aviyatma bhutanam ishvaropi sam. Even though I appear to have been born, I'm actually never born. No?
The chairs.
And even though, no,
These chairs are.
even though I am, I'm taking the form of a small child, I never lose my potency. Ishvaro. Ishvaro apisva. No, that I never lose my position as Ishvara. I'm always the Supreme. So, then all of his potency began to manifest within his mouth. She could see unlimited universes. She could see time and karma and all of the energies of the Lord become manifest. She could see everything. And then she saw herself with Krishna sitting on her lap. And she thought, she was thinking, what is happening? And she started thinking, very philosophically, she was thinking, actually, Nanda Maharaj is not really my husband. I am a servant of the Supreme Person. And Krishna is not really my child. And when she thought like that, Krishna, he could see what she was thinking. He withdrew he exhibited his yoga maya and withdrew his potency. And then she just saw Krishna sitting on her lap, and she was even full of more affection. She totally forgot about the dirt in the mouth and everything else. So this is motherly affection. Anytime we see a mother, we can see it everywhere. We see mothers are so attached to their children, naturally, and especially human beings. Just like in any other species of life, when the cub or the little bird or whatever, they get to a certain age, they go away. No more connection. There are some species like cows. Cows are actually the closest animals to human beings, with the sentiments are the closest. They actually have affection for their calves, even when the calves are growing up. But most other species, they get to a certain age, they're gone. Of course, nowadays in Kali Yuga, the family ties also, after a while, the children are gone, the parents are here, and the children are in another country, doing something else. But there's always that affection. So, but with Mother Yashoda, if Krishna is just out of her sight for 1 second, she's immediately in total anxiety. When Krishna goes away during the day, this is what's being characterized here in this chapter, that in this particular case, Krishna, she had just received all these complaints that Krishna is stealing butter from our houses, from all the different mothers. So she was thinking, as a mother, she wasn't thinking of chastising Krishna. She was thinking, why is my butter, why is Krishna having to go to some other, I have to make my butter better. No. That's what she was thinking. No. If he's going to someone else's house to get something to eat, then I have to. So she dismissed all, she's the queen of Vrindavan. So she has many helpers and servants. And she dismissed them all. I'm going to churn the butter today. She told Nanda Maharaj, please take the cow, go to those cows which are grazing in this particular place, which has a special kind of blue grass, which makes the sweetest milk. Get the milk from those cows, please, today. And I will personally churn it myself. That was it. She was so concerned about Krishna that he would get the best milk. Just like a mother will always, want her son, even though he may be 30, 40 years old, want him to eat something. Or the daughters, you have to eat more. You have to do this. My mother, even when I was 40 years old, she would say, did you take your keys? Did you do this? Did you do that? This is something that's very, very wonderful, because it comes from a mother. Even Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard these wonderful pastimes of Krishna, he asked Shukadeva Swami, how is it? He said, when someone becomes a devotee of the Lord, it's a very special thing. So how did Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai get this privilege? What did they do in their previous lifetime? And of course they did have a previous lifetime, but Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are the eternal parents of Krishna. But just to be historical, every time that there's a universe, that there's a creation, Krishna creates a history. There's always a history. Why this happened? Actually, there is no history to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai. They are eternally the parents of Krishna. But just to make it historical, he said, yes, in your previous lives, you were Drona and Dhara. And as Drona and Dhara, you prayed to Lord Brahma. You said, we have done many austerities and penances, and Brahma, you come to us and you're getting ready to give us a boon. So the only boon we want is that we would like that the Supreme Personality of Godhead could take birth from us. And in that way, we can be his servants so that he can appear in this world and he can bless everyone with his beautiful audience. That's what we would like to do. So, even though there was a so-called previous life, which was just something that happened, so that Krishna could manifest. So that Krishna could manifest. And so he did. And then Mother Yashoda, in this particular circumstance, she is so concerned about Krishna that she just finished churning this milk. She just got this huge pot of milk from Nanda Maharaj, from the best cow. And then while she's churning, Krishna wakes up and he begins to cry. And so he's crying, and Krishna, he's the Supreme Person, so when he cries, you have to come. So Mother Yashoda came, she started feeding him. He was a small baby. But then she had left the milk on the fire. And she could see the milk coming up in the pot. See this foam started to come up over the top. And she was thinking, now she could usually never leave Krishna. But on this occasion she thought, I got all this milk just for Krishna. If it boils over, it will burn, it will be spoiled. And then Krishna will go again to other people's houses and look for butter. So she thought like that. So she was thinking, I can't put Krishna down, but I have to. So she went and just to turn off the fire, Krishna got angry. He said, why have you abandoned me? So he got angry. He went in the next room, and the same room, but he got a pot of that she had just been churning. He took a stone, broke it, and the butter went all over the floor. And then she's going to come back. I better hide. So he went into the next room, closed the door, took a mortar and put it up, and he was going to get another pot and eat some. And then he thought, well, maybe I'll put the other pot back and she'll never know it. Krishna's taking, now one would think, Krishna's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows everything. How can he think that Mother Yashoda would do this? Well, why doesn't he just make her think about something else? But then we can also extrapolate and say, well, we all want to be happy. Why doesn't Krishna take away earthquakes, tsunamis, and disease, and all these problems that we're having, and just make this whole world just like I would like it to be? Everybody has plenty of money. Everybody has, everything they want. And, there's no disease, there's no old age. There are planets like that in the universe. There's no old age, there's no disease, there's no financial problems. But those planets, they also have one problem, that everyone has to die. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kshine Punye Martyalokam Vishanti. That even if you're promoted to one of those planets, and you're not just promoted, it's not like the lottery system where they have they have for foreign citizens, they have a lottery and you can win a green card. So it's not like that, put in your application and if you're the lucky one, you can go to the heavenly planet. No, you have to do austerities and penances. It's not free. And then you have to give it up. So even though the benefit, what benefits do we get? We get some money and we can go on vacation and we can do this or that. But how long do the benefits last? Even Social Security. Nowadays, people don't know how long it's going to last. People are living longer. So people live longer. Social Security gets eaten up. And then what's going to happen to the next generation? But they don't have to worry about that, but they do have to die. And when they die, because they were enjoying life so much, all of their credits of good works in the past are used up, and then they have to come back here and start over again. So, the best thing to do is to meditate on what we're speaking about here. That here's the perfect mother. And the perfect mother has the perfect son. And if we learn, if we study these relationships, just like later on in this chapter, it says, Nemam Varincho Nabhavo Nashir Apyanga Samshaya. That even the greatest personalities in this universe, like Shiva and Brahma and Lakshmi Devi, who is actually the better half, as they say, where they say is there a saying in English, maybe Naranja? The better half, I guess that's what they say in English. That she's the better half of the Lord, Lakshmi Devi. The half that most people would actually prefer, I'd rather have Lakshmi or wealth than the God, or if I have God, then I want wealth. That's what I want from God. But none of them can equal this person, Prasadam Lebhide Gopi. None of them can equal the mercy and the special privilege and wonderful position that Mother Yashoda got from being the mother of Krishna. None of them. And then Shukadeva Goswami goes on to say, Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta. That this particular Gopi, or Yashoda Mai, the mother of Krishna, who can estimate what she's gotten? Dehinam, those who are embodied, like ourselves, no matter how hard we work or how many pious activities we do, we can never approach the great fortune that she has. Jnaninam, even those great meditators, or Chatma, or the great yogis, although they do so many austerities and penances and sacrifices, they can never even approach the great fortune that devotees of the Lord and the greatest of those devotees, Yashodamati, can have. So the point is that whatever we're doing in life, of course we're speaking about this because today's Mother's Day, and we want to honor the greatest mother. We could honor our mother. Everybody has a mother. Just like in India especially, you see people, especially if the mother has died, and you see they have a picture of the mother with a little halo, right? Isn't it? Yeah. In India, always have the mother, and it's very special. Even in Latin America, the mother is, nowadays in America, the mother's a little downplayed a little bit. But in India, the mother is very special. And every one of us thinks our mother is very special, although to somebody who's out, she's just another lady. But for us, she's very special. But then, as one great Bengali devotee, well, he wasn't a Bengali, eternal associate of the Lord, Jagadananda Pandit, he said, Janame Janame Sabhe Pitta Matta Pai. Guru Hari Mila, Guru Krishna Nahi Mile Hari Bhajiye. That he said that in every birth that I've taken, I had a mother and a father. And she was very special. It's like whoever was our mother in a past life, we don't even know who she is. And that life, we were so, she's the greatest, she's so wonderful. And now, if I met her on the street, I probably wouldn't even know who she was. And so he says, now that we have the chance to get Krishna and Guru, one should take advantage of that. Because this way, you will understand the Supreme Person. You will understand the Supreme Mother. You will understand the Supreme Child. You will understand the Supreme everything. Everything that we've cherished in life, we will see the perfect manifestation from which that loving sentiment has come, which is Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. And so this great fortune that we may have, like many people, today's Mother's Day, and tomorrow will be business as usual, isn't it? If somebody has a birthday, everybody comes, and little hats and those funny little things that you blow, and a big celebration. But then the next day, business as usual. That person who is the object of everyone's sentiment is now just an ordinary person again. And then somebody else's birthday, and then somebody else's. Or let's say something happens to someone we know and we feel very sad. Or somebody had an accident, something's happened. But somebody right now in China is having an accident. We could care less. We don't even know who it is. But to someone, that person is very special. They're grieving. They're feeling the greatest anxiety. So, but when we learn to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we understand that we are eternal servants, then we can begin to feel. We can begin to feel the origin of all sentiments, because that person is now occupying my heart and filling my heart with transcendental bliss, transcendental knowledge, spiritual perfection. Then we begin to feel. Actually, Sri Narada Muni, one of the greatest sages of the universe, he said that everyone should observe the suffering of every living entity. You see how an ant suffers, they get stepped on, how many lower animals are consumed by other animals. You know, if you've ever seen an animal being eaten by another animal, it's not a very pleasant thing. And so he said we should observe these things and observe how people are suffering everywhere. And one should take into account all of that suffering and understand that all of that can be mitigated by the simple activity of bhakti, of giving oneself, of awakening one's devotion within one's heart. All of that can be eliminated, all of that can be forgotten about. So this is basically what we're talking about today. That if we become absorbed in Mother Yashoda, she's not mother today and then nothing tomorrow. She's always the most perfect mother. And we can always take inspiration from her, whether we be mothers, or whether we be fathers, or whether we be sons. We understand that eternal relationship of love that's going on between Krishna and his devotees. And once we become included in that club, which has no annual fee, once we're included, then we will always feel bliss in any circumstance. People are always wondering how to be happy, and generally they think more money, more power, more influence, better connections. By that I'll be happy. But you can have the best connection, just like Sri Prahlad Maharaj prayed to Lord Nrsimhadev. He said, even if you have the best parents, they cannot protect you. Even if you have the best doctor, he can't necessarily save you. Otherwise, then the wealthiest people would never be sick, because they can afford the best doctor. But even the best doctor can't help you. And even if you have the best boat, like the Titanic, at that time, you can't be assured that it will not sink. So he said, therefore, my Lord, I take shelter of you, because taking shelter of you, and Krishna himself says, Sarvadharmam parijjaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam mokshaya shanti mahashuchaha, that aham tvam sarvapapavyo, that I will save you from all types of reactions that you may have accumulated. I will relieve you of all distress. Just understand that everything you're doing is ultimately related to me. See that relationship, establish that relationship, offer it to me in loving devotion. I won't take it away. I don't need it. Krishna doesn't need it. He's the best person to offer something to, because he's not going to take it away. He may take it away. I can't guarantee he wouldn't, but he doesn't need it. And if he takes it away, it's only for our benefit. Because he doesn't need it. You offer something to someone else, you never know. Even you don't offer it to them, they take it. What to speak of if you offer it to them. Just like in Latin America, they say, or even in India they say this sometimes, that welcome to your house. But if you say, well, okay, well, give me the deed and I'll sell it. It's not your house anymore. So these are all sayings, or all these sayings, they come from this original sentiment that's being expressed here. But unfortunately, we don't deepen our consciousness enough so that we can feel where all these wonderful expressions of servitorship, of love, where they come from. We can't put them into real practice unless we establish our eternal relationship with Krishna. So on this Mother's Day and every day, I pray that all of us here and everyone can take advantage of that Supreme Person who's inviting us, always inviting us. Just like you take the wealthiest, 20 wealthiest people here in San Antonio, in the world, would they invite you to their home? You can come live here. And I will provide everything. And the only thing you have to do is just, relate to me. How many people would do that? Not very many. But the wealthiest person, Krishna. He's saying that. Come, I want you to come. And what is his price? Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. If you offer me a leaf or water or a fruit or a flower, just do it with loving devotion. You're in. Doesn't require much. Even if you live in the desert where there's not many fruits or flowers or not much water, but offer a cactus. Krishna will accept. So this is such a wonderful opportunity. And then, what to speak of when we hear about Krishna's beautiful pastimes, which are unparalleled, and then such a great offer that we're receiving from the Supreme Person. And he's just saying, just understand that everything is mine, use it in the proper way, and then, and understand that I am supreme. Not that he wants to be supreme. We can see by the example of Mother Yashoda that Krishna wants to be subordinate. He's not requiring, doesn't have some superiority complex that, I want to subjugate you. Krishna wants to subjugate us in the sense that we obey him so that he can put us in a position where he wants to obey us. But not our whims. He wants to obey us in a pure loving reciprocity, a pure loving exchange. But that takes surrender. Krishna's already surrendered to us in one sense, meaning that he has come, he's given us so much knowledge. He's coming in the form of his own name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. He's coming in that form, and he's begging us, please take me, please accept me in this form of the Lord. So this is the wonder of Krishna, and I hope that we can all take advantage of this offer. So these are some thoughts on today, Mother Day, Mother Yashoda Day. So I'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
I have one question online from Seisha. Seisha in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He says, does the concept of giving birth to a child exist in the spiritual sky? If yes, how is that, since birth and death does not exist there? And if not, then how does the concept of mother and father exist over there, since no one is actually giving birth to anyone?
Well, because they're eternally mothers and fathers. And because they're eternally like that, there is a concept of birth. That this is my child. He must have been born sometime. Because in the spiritual world, Yoga Maya, or the spiritual energy that covers everyone, including Krishna, so that everyone can relate in a very familiar way, makes everyone kind of forget what happened the previous day, so that everything is a new experience. And it is a new experience, but it's even newer because Yoga Maya makes it ever fresh. So there's an idea, yes, Krishna was born. Mother Yashoda thinks, yeah, because she does. She goes to the material world, she has Krishna. And the different residents of Vrindavan, from time to time, they accompany Krishna. And they may have a child that's born. But everything's eternal there. Nobody has to be born to be someone's child, because it's eternal. Otherwise, just like Purnamasi, she's the grandmother of Krishna, but she didn't give birth to the mother of Krishna. But she's Krishna's grandmother. That's the relationship they have. Everything is based on rasa relationship. These are things that today's lecture was a little bit more advanced than the normal. Usually we talk about we're not the body and how to transcend those things that are obstacles in our life. But today was a special day, so we talked about something a little more in the plan of already being established in Krishna consciousness. But we can all understand that because we all experience these things. We all want our situation to go on. Just like everyone in this world, nobody wants to die, except for people who are suicidal. But basically nobody wants to die. Why? Because we're eternal. So we want to perpetuate our situation. Any other questions?
These are very deep pastimes, and to really relish them with that sort of conviction, it takes some time.
Therefore, we invite everyone to chant. And we're going to have a kirtan, right? So by this chanting, such a simple offer. This is Krishna's offer. You chant, you learn to glorify me, so that I can trust you. Krishna wants us to surrender. Just like if you want to work for the U.S. government, you have to get clear. You have to be cleared. You have to get security clearance. That means they have to trust you, and then they give you a very intimate position. So basically, that tendency comes from Krishna. He says, you can get your clearance. You surrender to me, I'll give you your clearance. And then you can enter into transcendence. And when you do it, then we can have a very sweet, wonderful relationship. That's basically what we're talking about. Just getting a security clearance.
Yeah, we were reading last night, or a couple of nights ago, with Keshava Bharti Maharaj in Houston. He says that a lot of times we want faith in God, but what about God having faith in us?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what we're doing. So thank you all very much for your attention and for coming, and please come and bring your friends and take advantage of what we're doing. Srila Prabhupada said, our spiritual master, one time he said, we would rather be on the bank of the Ganga chanting Hare Krishna, but we're here in this city because we want to serve you. So please come, take advantage of it. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Yashoda Mai, Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Jai Gopal.